Mike Bond here with Bellator welterweight Paul Daley. Paul, man, how itchy are those knuckles getting? It's been since October since we fought. I bet you want to get in there real bad.
I'm desperate, mate. I'm desperate. I've been on at the Bellator staff pretty much every day since the lockdown kicked in, just trying to get in there, smash some heads, get these free fights in. Yeah, man.
Yeah, so what are you hearing from them? I did like a big interview with Scott Coker a little over a month ago, and he was saying that the plan they were hoping was to be back in July, but we obviously haven't heard anything. It's mid-June right now. We haven't heard any official announcements. So what do you know?
I'm pretty much hearing the same thing. I heard that they will hopefully get a show done by the end of July over in the US, and then the European shows should start in October with Ireland.
Okay, so are you even going to be able to travel to the US, or do you think you're going to have to wait for the Europe shows to come in?
I don't know. To be honest with you, I've been kind of trying to get some feedback from Bellator as if I'm going to be on the July show or if I'm going to have to wait till October to get a fight. But like I say, I'm ready to go now. You know, I've been nonstop. I've got the keys to my own gym, so I've been pretty much training since I got back from Connecticut.
Yeah, and if we can circle back to that a little bit, obviously, it was very fresh when all that stuff was going on. No one really knew how severe the whole coronavirus situation was going to get, but Bellator obviously pulled the plug on that card fight day. Can you just kind of recap your experience, because I haven't really heard you speak too much about what it was like in your shoes, and I know it's been a few months since then.
Yeah, well, we could see how the whole situation was developing over the week just by watching the news, but I think all the fighters were pretty sure we're still going to fight, with the weigh-ins going ahead, and still doing all the press. And it wasn't until the actual day of the fight. We knew the day before that it was going to be an empty stadium. There weren't going to be any audience there. And then so we're all chilling. You normally wait for your call time to go over to the arena, and you normally get that a good, say, 4 hours before the show, and it's getting closer and closer to what I would normally expect to be my call time, and I'm still not hearing anything from the Bellator staff. So, I hit one of the guys up that I'm close to and said, "Look, what's going on?" And then we found out that the show was cancelled. I think it was probably about an hour before what would normally be my call time to go over to the arena. So it was all I'm getting the impression that it was, they was unsure. They didn't know how to play it, and there was a lot of discussions going on, behind the scenes for them to leave it so late to tell the fighters. But, Bellator did their thing. We came down, a small meeting in the lobby with the executives of Bellator. All the fighters got taken care of, which is good because it's been so long with us not competing. And, I haven't fought since October. The world, as far as restrictions, quarantine may have, but those bills keep coming in. They still want the money for gas and electricity. So it's lucky that Bellator gave me a little money to tie me over, and things are good.
Yeah, it seemed like that was a nice part of the story for sure, that they took care of the fighters on the card. But you mentioned not being able to fight since October. How difficult was that? You go through the training camp, you do everything, and it's literally fight day. You make weight, and then the fight gets pulled out. Like, you don't get to unleash everything that had been built up from within you over those months of training. So how hard was that to kind of unwind from not being able to actually get in there and fight?
Yeah, it was very hard. And to be honest with you, that the week of the fight, it was because there was this, you had the whole thing going on around the world as far as the coronavirus is concerned, New York being locked down, people being flown back from, I think it was Italy and places like that. And my mind wasn't even really right. And then when they said that the arena was going to be empty, it was like almost like I wasn't in the right frame of mind for the fight. Anyway, of course I would have won just because on skills and natural ability, I would have won that fight. But my mind wasn't as focused as it normally is because so much was going on with the coronavirus and stuff. So it was a bit of a letdown not to fight, especially having not fought since October. And I'm just keen to get in there. I've got like a timeline that I want to work to as far as the rest of my career, and this has been like this has completely, messed with that timeline. So I'm just hoping that I can get back to fighting and continue to follow the plan.
Yeah, has this time allowed you to, because I've talked to some other fighters and what they've experienced through this, and they've kind of said it's forced them to maybe take a step back and, not have the foot on the gas pedal, just thinking about their career and fighting all the time, and maybe take in some time to appreciate other aspects of life. Obviously, there's so much craziness going on in the world right now, but have you been able to get any advantages or upsides through this whole entire experience?
Yeah, there's been a lot of upsides. I've got time to spend more time with my family, my children, time to rest the body. I'm 37 now, and those injuries were starting to creep in. So although I've been training one a day, it's given me a chance for some of those injuries to heal up and rest the body a little bit. But mostly, yeah, spending time with the family, and because it's been so long that I haven't fought, I've had to address other things as far as what I will do when I do stop fighting, because this is such a long period without fighting that I've had to bring some of those plans forward as far as my game plan as to earning money and making some investments to be sure that when the fighting does stop, I've still got some money coming in. So it's given me time to have a look at that, and yeah, I'm happy for that.
That's good. And where are things now? I know you said you have the keys to the gym, but are things
Yeah.
mainly opening up a bit where you are? I mean, I'm in Toronto, Canada, and we're still largely shut down. You can't go eat in restaurants or anything like that. It's mostly just takeout, etc. What's the conditions over there right now?
It's not too bad, to be honest. Shops opened up today, so if you want to go out shopping, you can be asked with the queuing system that you have, the 2 meters apart and waiting 3 hours to do some shopping. Then it's good for those of you that want to do that. But for me, like I say, I live a pretty Spartan lifestyle anyway. So it's family time, training, resting. The one benefit that I have had with the easing of lockdown restrictions is being able to teach one-to-ones. I run a gym as well, and we have big groups of people normally. But with the lockdown restrictions, I've had time to focus on the students that have the time and the money and want to improve their technique. I've been able to work with those guys. And also, we've been allowed, elite athletes have been allowed to continue with their training as far as sparring is concerned. So I've been working on improving areas that I think I need to focus on, namely my grappling, my wrestling and stuff like that. So I've been able to train and improve and keep business ticking over.
Right. So obviously the hope, it sounds like, is to be able to get stateside, fight on one of these July cards. Ideally, Bellator would do. Do you have any idea who you would like to fight? I mean, obviously with other restrictions that are probably going on various parts of the world, is it just kind of a take what you can get situation right now as far as opponents?
I think it's going to have to be like that. I've seen what's happening over at the UFC. Like, it's been, if you don't take this fight, then you don't have a fight. And I think that's what it is. People out there eager to get back competing, eager to get some money coming in. So I'll pretty much have to fight whoever they offer me, because I feel like now's not the time to pick and choose opponents. Now's the time to get back active, entertain the fans that have been waiting to see you return. And I know a lot of people have been waiting for me to return and put on the typical Semtex performance that I do, and just keep it moving. So we'll see. I don't really have people that I want to call out. If it is in Ireland, it would make sense. It's probably going to be an Irish fighter than rather than them having to fly people in from the rest of Europe or the rest of the world. If I do get out to America, then who knows? It could be one of the top 10 guys. Could be an interim title against the likes of Lorenz Larkin. So, who knows? I'm ready though. When they give me the call, I'll be ready to fight whoever it is.
Yeah, that Larkin fight seems very logical. Obviously, you guys have the history too, and I know that loss to you really, bugs him deep down inside. Is that something that you'd be keen to do again, even though you won pretty convincingly?
Yeah, I find it so funny that it really gets to him, that loss, because there ain't shit he can do. If I fight him again, I'll knock him out again. I'm just better than he is. Styles make fights, and my style beats his style every day. Whether it's now, whether it's next year, I'll knock that guy out every time. And he at the moment is talking about he beat Koreshkov and all of this stuff, trying to keep my name out of his future plans, and that just kind of shows his confidence in being able to get a win over me. He knows he can't beat me. I know he can't beat me. But it's an interesting fight, only if it's for the interim title. So yeah.
Yeah, and I know Bellator and Scott Coker isn't like too into the interim titles, but it seems like this is the perfect scenario. I mean, I assume we're still going to get this Lima versus Mousasi fight, and then who knows when Lima can be coming down to 170. So Bellator doesn't really do interim titles, but I think this is probably a scenario that would make a ton of sense for it.
Yeah, for me, it makes sense, and I've been mentioning it every time I get a question that I can bring it in, because, like you say, Douglas Lima's going up to middleweight. So we got to keep it moving in the 170-pound division. Rory's gone over to PFL. Obviously he would have had to be featured in any interim title talks. Then Scott Coker had mentioned Lorenz Larkin getting the next title shot. I've beat Lorenz Larkin. Makes sense to if he's going to get the shot, it should be against me, rather than anybody else. But we'll see what happens. But I think the way forward for the welterweight division in Bellator is to get an interim title out there while Douglas Lima's doing his thing at 185 pounds.
For sure. And you mentioned earlier, get these 3 fights done. I assume that's what remaining on your contract. Is there any plan in mind beyond that? Like, are you wanting to stay with Bellator the rest of the career, or are you just focusing on getting these 3 fights done and then assess the lay of the land?
Yeah. For me, I think it's just a matter of getting the 3 fights done and then just kicking back and seeing what happens. For me, 3 fights until my retirement, because I've had a good run. I don't want to be one of these guys that stays beyond their time. There's a lot of great, talented fighters coming up. I like to, make space for those guys rather than be getting knocked out by those guys. So if I could get some good free fights, a good free matchups, interesting matchups, then I'll be done. I'm happy with what I've done in the sport. I've put on great fights, beat some tough guys, some spectacular knockouts that people remember forever, I'd like to think. So yeah, I'd be happy to step away. And this time with the quarantine and the lockdowns, giving me more time. I had a plan anyway, but it's given me more time to focus on that post-fight career plan, put the pieces in place, and we're good to go.
Any insight you can share on what that looks like? Any conclusions you've come to and what you want to do post-fighting?
Well, for the first 12 months, I ain't going to be doing shit. I'm going to find myself a nice beach somewhere, and I'm going to be drinking cocktails and, holding up the queue at the all-inclusive buffet bar and shit like that. So, yeah. And then after that, I've got a plan. I'd like to keep it to myself, but, I'm not scared of going back into a regular lifestyle. I had things going on before fighting, and I'll just pick up with those things and just keep it moving.
That's great. And something I did want to ask you, it's kind of one of the hot topics in MMA right now. I don't know if you've seen this stuff on Twitter, like a lot of former UFC fighters speaking up about former UFC matchmaker Joe Silva and how, their different experience with him and how they're treated and everything. Obviously, your story and how you exited the UFC is well documented. You've talked about it ad nauseum over the years. But do you have any stories you can share? I mean, some of them have been really negative, some have been very positive in their dealings with Joe, but I'm wondering if how you feel your experiences with her or with him were when you're at the UFC.
Yeah, I just literally seen the stories this morning, but I personally don't have any experiences to share with you about Joe Silva. My time with the UFC was short, although that it was a long time coming. I'd been in contact with him for a long time. But no, I don't have anything to say on him. I never really had that kind of personal interaction with him, so I don't have anything to say.
Okay, good to know. And I guess just to circle back and close it out here, you mentioned those final 3 fights. If you can think of the last one, is there like a dream scenario? I mean, would you hope to do it somewhere in England with your
The
people?
dream scenario, I will put this out there. It will be the biggest fight that I can think for the UK fans. And my last fight, obviously, it has to be here. And we're talking of Bellator fights. We're talking of the fight that, you know, would get the most interest for the UK fans. And, you know, although the first time round it wasn't the fight that people wanted to see, it'd be one that people would show up to if we ran it back, and it would be against MVP. If I could have that as my final fight, I think it would be the one that would garner the most interest, and yeah, it'll be interesting. Wembley Arena, Daley's last fight, Semtex versus MVP 2, no wrestling, no takedowns, and we'll see how it goes.
That would be awesome. Have you been following MVP during like these times at all? I mean, he's out there doing the protests with Leon Edwards,
Yeah.
Black Lives Matters movement and everything. Anything to speak on that? Any different level of respect gain or anything?
You know what? I haven't seen what he's been doing, but anybody that's supporting that political movement, obviously, I'm going to be in support of. So if he's out there and he's doing things that pushes this political topic to the forefront, then, you know, I'm behind him. But I haven't seen what he's been doing, so I can't really comment.
Yeah. Do you have any experiences you would maybe want to share of like racism you've dealt with in your life? I know it's a heavy question.
Black, right? So obviously, I've had experiences of racism, and you know, for me, I've got tough skin. I'm a fighter, and you know, you don't really realize what's wrong and the you know, the obstacles you faced until you get older, and maybe my youth naivety and my upbringing from my mum to just keep pushing no matter what has sort of made the situations that I have faced not so, they haven't impacted my life so heavily, because, you know, I've been brought up right, you know, and I've just kept pushing. But, you know, now that I look back and I see what's going on now, and I'm a little bit more educated as far as history is concerned, then, you know, shit is wrong, and it needs to be, it needs to change. So I'm happy that now that this Black Lives Matter has been pushed to the forefront, and people are getting behind it of all races, and, you know, and showing the world that this is something that needs to be addressed, and we're all equal on this earth. Yeah.
Awesome, man. Those are great words. Well, yeah, really, sorry to close out on kind of a heavy note there.
No,
but I appreciate you speaking to that. So I've been wanting to catch up with you for a while, Paul, so I'm glad we finally got to do this. And hopefully Bellator can get you in there very soon. It would be a bummer if we had to wait till October, but hopefully July can get sorted, right? That's the hope.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. Thank you very much, though.
I appreciate it, Paul. Have a great day. Talk soon.
Nice one, brother. Take care.